2024 has barely begun, but already the show season has kicked off. Welcome to Autosport International at the NEC in Birmingham, where everyone in the world of motorsport, from drivers to car suppliers, teams, parts specialists and even whole racing divisions, meet to start the year's racing in earnest. There is plenty of modern stuff here obviously, but a few bits of classic interest as well. So let's head into the halls and see what we can find. But first, our friends at Lancaster Insurance are running monthly giveaways. You can win all sorts, from experience days to tools, restaurant vouchers and tech. So click the link below at the end of the video to enter their latest competition. Believe it or not, these aren't brand new cars. Welcome to the world of Exocet, which is the cheapest kit car you can buy in the UK. And whilst they look like a modern aerial atom track car space frame thing, they're actually based, in the case of this one, on a Mark 1 or Mark 2 Mazda MX-5. So there's apparently only 14 bolts that hold the body onto a Mark 1 MX-5. You whip it off, you're left with the bare chassis and the running gear, and for just £4.5 grand, you can get the kit to build one of these babies. A two-seater, lightweight track car weighing in at less than 3/4 of a tonne that is a riot to drive. What's more, if that's not quite fast enough for you, you've got this one, the RX, which, as you might be able to guess by the name, is based on the rotary-powered Mazda RX-8, a car which you can buy for a couple of grand now and turn it into a 230 horsepower rotary track car weighing in at 3/4 of a tonne. Absolutely epic stuff. I think they look great, they are fantastic to drive, and they're affordable. Based on modern classic cars like the MX-5 and RX-8, you can even get one on a Mark 3 MX-5 here. What's not to love? I want one. The Jaguar Heritage Trust have brought a few of their historic motorsport cars to Autosport, and these two stand out in a big way. We'll start with this. You know I love an XJS. 1984 XJS Group A touring car, as driven and won by Tom Walkinshaw. That's right, he won that year's BTCC season with this car. It then went on to qualify on pole at the 24 Hours of Nürburgring for its class. It qualified on pole at Bathurst. This car is a legend in motorsport, and this livery, the green XJS with the white stripes, is one of the most defining looks for this car. With those Speedline wheels on it, it's just stunning, and it's still as used by Walkinshaw in period. It's got Tom Walkinshaw's original seat, which is slightly expired by now. It's still got all the original stickers on it. It's not been fully restored. It still has a couple of little marks and bruises on it, and I love it. And this was the first Jaguar of this period to have outboard rear brakes. Of course, inboard rear brakes were what Jag used up until the X300, but this did it almost 10 years earlier. Fantastic. Moving over here, an XK120 fixed head, where this is a bit of a record holder, this one, with its gorgeous sort of bronzy browny paint and leather straps on the bonnet. This set a world record for the fastest average speed over 7 days. 4 drivers teamed up, and over 7 days, this car averaged over 100 miles an hour. Absolutely incredible feat. It broke 7 speed records during that time, and when I was telling Phil about this car, he was very keen to point out that he's driven it up Goodwood. Thanks for that, Phil. No, in all seriousness, these are absolutely beautiful, and it goes to show that the history of motorsport is just as important as the current modern electric stuff, and for me this is far more interesting. Looks like a GT40, but isn't. Welcome to the Superformance GT40P, a pretty much exact replica of an original Ford GT40 from Le Mans, right down to the fantastic Gulf livery. Now this one was imported to the UK in 2017, and it is a pretty much one-to-one copy of an original GT40, right down to having the gear linkage and indeed the gear change on the right-hand side, despite being a right-hand drive car. It's got a modern monocoque chassis underneath, but some of it is fiberglass to make it lighter, which means it's even faster thanks to a modern fuel-injected 347 cubic inch Roush V8 in the back. Apparently over 80% of the panels and parts on this are interchangeable with an original GT40, and it's got a correct 5-speed dogleg transaxle gearbox for an authentic GT40 driving experience, for an awful lot less than the millions of pounds you'd pay for a pucker Le Mans spec GT40 these days. So if you want to live out those fantasies of living in the Ford versus Ferrari movie, this is a somewhat budget way to do it. I know it's not a car and it's not even classic, but we have to talk about this very briefly. I went to the Isle of Man TT for the first time ever in 2023, and that happened to be the year that this bike took part, a BMW M1000RR ridden by Peter Hickman for the FHO racing team, where it smashed the overall average speed lap record for the Isle of Man TT. This bike, over 37 miles of road course, which we've driven on, remember, averaged 136.3 miles an hour, an all-time record, and this is a super stock class bike. This isn't even an all-out super bike, and it smashed the record. Absolutely unbelievable stuff. It's still got all the flies and dead bugs on it from setting that record lap. Hickman is an absolute legend at the TT. We really are in the presence of greatness here. All right, without further ado, back to the cars. One of the most popular cars in classic touring car racing was the Mk2 Jag, and here on the Ral Oil stand we've got a beautiful 3.8 Mk2 as driven by Grant Williams all the time at the Goodwood Revival. Grant is a bit of a legend behind the wheel. He's known as the Sultan of Slide, in fact, because he knows how to get a car sideways, and a well set up Mk2 Jag will very much go sideways. This one has had every detail done to a beautiful standard, but if you look under the bonnet here, there's still evidence of years gone by. It's clearly not originally this white grey, it was originally red. There's a few little tatty bits and marks because it's a race car, it's not a show car. But here's the thing, as we always say with classic racing cars, a show car can't necessarily be a race car, but a race car makes one hell of a show car, especially when it's one of these. Remove the enormous ironing board off the back and you might be able to spot the iconic Group B silhouette of a Ford RS 200. This one is owned by something of a rallying and rallycross legend. Liam Duran, in fact, races this car. As you might be able to tell, he's even had his own name tyre written into the side of the thing. It's modern, it's got a brand new built engine in it, it's got carbon fibre, it's got Kevlar, it's got a bit of a wide body thing going on, it's got a roof scoop, it's a full-on race spec car, and it's liveried up for the benefit of Monster Energy, who Liam Duran does a lot of racing stuff with. This car was stolen quite recently, so it's quite nice to see it back with its rightful owner here at Autosport before, no doubt, it goes back on track, makes some noise, goes sideways and wins some races. The RS 200 is as iconic and as memorable now as it was back in the 80s, but for slightly nicer reasons. Nothing special here, just a Sierra Cosworth, and it's one of several cars on the British Army Motorsports stand here at Autosport. That's right, not even ex-servicemen, current serving members of our British military who take part in no less than 7 divisions of motorsport. That includes rallying, touring cars, and even off-road expeditions with that Land Rover Defender back there. The Sierra Cosworth here is what's catching people's eye because this is raced on track successfully and it's got all the trimmings on it, lashings of carbon fibre, proper built Cosworth engine in there with a massive turbo, and it goes to show that even if you're not saving the country from foreign invasions or what have you, there's still time to get out there and have some fun on track. But don't think they're spending all their time racing. The owner of that Ferrari over there, who is a serving member of the British military, did plan to be here at the show and he got his F430 Challenge shipped here specially, but at the last minute he was called out to be in the field of battle. So good luck to you, sir, hope you're doing very well. Your car is lovely and so is that Sierra Cosworth. There's also a Mini back there. Just if you needed more proof that our military should be celebrated, it's when you see that there is into motorsport and racing as this. Just very quickly, we've been pointed out by one of the guys on the British Army racing stand, this Sierra Cosworth has got a sequential paddle change gearbox. It's the only one in the world, in fact. So there you go, a bit more of the old meeting the new, lashings of carbon fibre, just, I want to go. Can I have a go, please? You might remember that episode of that BBC motoring programme where they went and did Rallycross on a budget for sort of a few £1,000s. And this is how they did it with BTRDA low-level amateur rallycross. And look at some of the cars you can use. There's an Alfa Romeo 147 there, great, affordable, charismatic modern classic. Over here, this is what's catching people's eyes, a box-arched Vauxhall Nova on these fantastic wheels. I think this is a cracking thing. If you want to get young people into motorsport, this is how you do it. It's cheap, it's cheerful, it looks awesome, and you can go racing for the cost of a finance payment on a modern Tesla. Down there, there's a few other sort of modern classic options. There's a Suzuki Swift Sport, which is very popular for low-end motorsport, very affordable, and there's a Mark 6 Fiesta, which is becoming increasingly rare when you think about it. If you want to get into motor racing, Rallycross is one of the most affordable but great bang for your buck ways to do it because it's fun, it's on multiple surfaces, loose and grippy, and you can do it right down in the heart of England on little humble racetracks, which is what motorsport in this country is all about. And you can see some great classic, retro and modern classic cars there as well. I want that Nova, I'm going to go and do a deal. Now this is right up our street. Welcome to the Classic Sports Car Club stand with multiple divisions of classic and modern classic racing. We'll start with this one, obviously. It's an X100 Jaguar XK8 and it's part of the ever popular Jaguar series run by the CSCC. And it includes XK8s, it includes XJSs, there's even the odd XJ taking part as I understand it. Absolutely fantastic, and with how affordable these are now, this is still quite a cheap way into motorsport with that lovely Jag V8. Moving along, they've got a whole BMW series here. In this case, we've got an E46 M3, complete with a fantastic wide body on it, a carbon fibre bonnet. This is a proper touring car spec weapon from 20 years ago, and I love it. And then further down there, an MG ZR, where they've got the MG Trophy Championship, which is again the far more affordable way into motorsport. You can get one of those babies for a couple of grand and go racing. What's not to love? Unless you own one, when did you last see a Hyundai Coupe of any sort? Well, I'll tell you where they've all gone. They've been used in the Hyundai Coupe Cup, a one-make race series specifically for the Korean front-wheel drive fastback. I happen to really like the Hyundai Coupe, all generations. I think it's a cracking looking car, they're very cheap and they're good fun to drive. And that means they're the perfect candidate for budget motorsport. Look at this, you can buy a car for the series for £3,500, a new build one is only £5,000, you can do a whole arrive and drive season of this 6-race series for around £10,000. Find me a series of track-based, high-level motorsport that you could do for 4 figures. That's unbelievable good value. And yes, Hyundai Coupes remain absolutely cheap on the second-hand market, so you can get one of these modern classics yourself and even build your own race car, whether you fancy this rarer generation, the more sort of controversial bug-eye shape, or even the newer generation Tiburon, it's known in some regions, with that big old V6 in it, although whether it's compliant, we're not quite sure. So there you have it. Where's the Hyundai Coupe gone? Well, it's gone racing. Here on the BMW Car Club stand, they've brought along a couple of classic beauties. There's this beauty over here, there's an E46 325 Compact over there, surprisingly rare modern classic, but what's drawing all the attention over this weekend is this, a Neue Klasse, which is German for new class. This is the predecessor to the 5 Series, because the successor to this was the E12, the start of the now fantastically successful 5 Series line, but the Neue Klasse was the genesis of it. Launched in 1962, it ran until 1977, and it was actually the debut for the, by then, quite popular M10 4-cylinder BMW petrol engine, 1500cc, although later in life it did gain a 2-litre variant and a meaty 6-cylinder under the bonnet as well. It was actually something of a motorsport hero in period, and today it's used in classic racing series, including stuff with the 750 Motor Club and BMW specific racing, and it just looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Proper shark nose front end, predecessor of course to the 6 Series. This did it first and does it fantastically well. The Neue Klasse is a properly rare car, and to see one that's still being actively used and raced is a real treat. This looks like a 205 GTI, and it is, but not quite. It's something more. The Tolman 205 GTI, a modern, what we call resto mod, which is still a classic and it still drives like one, but it's been updated with lots of modern tweaks and tricks. Under the skin, it's still the 1.9-litre engine, but it's got 16 valves. It's been tuned and tweaked a bit to make over 200 horsepower naturally aspirated. No turbocharged nonsense here. It's also got bigger brakes, it's got modern Michelin tyres and tweaked suspension so it handles and rides and feels like a brand new car, not the 40-year-old hot hatch that it is. Inside, the interior has been refitted and retrimmed, and it's got a modern LCD dash, so it just suddenly feels that much more modern. It's every inch the 205 GTI, but a little bit more. It's not cheap, but for a money no object garage, this is right up there. So that was Autosport International 2024. Whether you're into retro racing or modern motorsport, there is something for you here. And whether you're looking to build your dream race car or see some iconic race cars, there is everything you could possibly want at this show. We've loved our time here, and we hope that if you came, you did too. We'll hopefully see you at next year's show, and now that 2024 show season has kicked off, it's time we get on to some of ours. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, we'll see you again soon.
This video is proudly sponsored by Lancaster Insurance. Give them a call on 01480 400 889 for an insurance quote on your classic car. And don't forget to click the link below to enter their latest competition.